If you can't reach behind your back to zip up a jacket, can't lift your arm to wash your hair, or wake up at 3 a.m. because rolling onto that shoulder feels like it's locked in place, you might be dealing with something called frozen shoulder. And here's what almost nobody tells you. The way most people respond to that stiffness is often the exact thing that makes it worse. There's one woman I'll come back to later. We'll call her Linda. Her shoulder had become so stiff that even reaching across the passenger seat for a seatbelt had turned into a painful struggle. What happened after she changed the way she approached that stiffness helps explain why these 3 mistakes matter. There are 3 common mistakes. Most people are making at least one of them right now without realizing it. And what you do instead can influence how painful and limiting the recovery feels. But before we get to mistake number 1, there's something you need to understand about what's actually happening inside that shoulder. Frozen shoulder happens when the flexible sleeve of tissue surrounding your shoulder joint becomes irritated and tightens up, almost like a jacket that's shrunk in the wash. That's why movement feels physically blocked, not just painful. You may notice this especially with movements that require your arm to rotate or reach behind you. Putting on a jacket, fastening a seatbelt, reaching for a shelf, or washing your hair can suddenly feel much harder than they used to. The frustrating part is that the shoulder may look normal from the outside, even while everyday movements are becoming increasingly difficult. It tends to show up more often after age 60, more commonly in women, and in people with diabetes or thyroid conditions. It usually moves through stages, freezing, frozen, then thawing, and it can improve on its own. And that brings us to mistake number 1, complete rest.
It feels logical. It hurts, so you stop using it. But days of avoiding that shoulder can turn into weeks, and prolonged inactivity can contribute to even more stiffness and loss of movement. The goal isn't to force the shoulder to move. It's to keep it gently moving without constantly provoking it. For many people, the better approach is gentle, guided movement rather than complete rest, but the right intensity depends on the stage and severity of the condition. That doesn't mean you should keep using the shoulder as if nothing is wrong. It means keeping it gently involved in comfortable daily movement instead of protecting it from every movement. Small amounts of movement repeated throughout the day are very different from forcing the shoulder through a painful range. And if you think avoiding movement is the biggest mistake, wait until you hear what some people do next. Mistake number 2, pushing through sharp pain. Some people force the stretch, gritting their teeth, trying to break through the stiffness. But aggressive stretching during an inflamed phase can irritate the capsule further, increasing pain without improving mobility. The goal isn't maximum stretch, it's consistent, tolerable movement several times a day. A useful rule is simple. Gentle pulling or mild stretching may be acceptable, but sharp, increasing, or lingering pain is a signal to back off. You are not trying to win a battle with your shoulder. You're trying to give it regular movement without constantly irritating it. But even if you avoid both of those mistakes, there's one more that can quietly keep you stuck for months. Mistake number 3, waiting too long to get it evaluated. Because frozen shoulder can loosen up on its own over time, many people delay seeing a doctor or a physical therapist for months. But early evaluation can help identify what stage you're in and whether options like targeted physical therapy, home exercises, or for some people, a corticosteroid injection are appropriate for calming inflammation early on. So, what should you actually do instead? Start with small pendulum-style movements, letting your arm hang and gently swing, using gravity rather than muscle effort. And these should feel almost too easy at first. The goal isn't to see how far you can move. The goal is to remind the shoulder that movement can still be comfortable. To try one, support yourself with your good arm on a table or sturdy chair and let the affected arm hang loosely toward the floor.
Gently swing it forward and backward in a small, comfortable motion. Keep the movement relaxed rather than trying to make the circle or swing bigger. Another gentle option is a table slide. Place your affected hand on a table or countertop and slowly slide it forward as you lean slightly toward the surface. Go only as far as feels comfortable, pause briefly, then slowly return. There's no need to force the shoulder higher just because you can. With either movement, the goal is gentle mobility, not pushing through pain. If an exercise causes sharp or significantly increasing pain, stop and get guidance from a healthcare professional rather than pushing through it. This kind of staged approach is generally consistent with orthopedic and physical therapy guidance for frozen shoulder. Protect the joint from aggressive stress early on while keeping it moving within a manageable range. Think of it like a rusted hinge. Force it open too hard and you risk damaging it further. Never move it at all, and stiffness can become even harder to reverse. Work it gently a little every day, and it gradually loosens. So, what happened to Linda? For months, she couldn't reach the seatbelt buckle on the passenger side of her car without wincing. She started doing gentle pendulum movements each day and began working with a physical therapist. Over the following weeks, reaching across for that seatbelt gradually became easier, until one day she realized something had changed. She reached for it without thinking about her shoulder first. So, here's the framework worth remembering. Skip the extremes, move gently and consistently, and get it evaluated if it lingers. That one shift from avoiding your shoulder or fighting it to working with it can make the recovery process much more manageable. Frozen shoulder can make ordinary movements feel like they're disappearing from your life. But the goal isn't to force the shoulder open or stop using it completely. It's to work with it, gently, consistently, and at the right stage. And if you're dealing with it right now, remember, a frozen shoulder isn't necessarily a shoulder you're stuck with forever. If this helped you understand why your shoulder feels so locked up and what not to do about it, consider subscribing for more straightforward, science-based joint health guidance. And if you're dealing with frozen shoulder right now, tell me in the comments which movement has become hardest for you.